So one of the main reasons I wanted to sit down with you today is because, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I first started working in the aesthetic industry solely, I used to go on so many different sites to find injectors. And every time I would type in like aesthetic provider, there would be some nurses that popped up on each site that they like targeted, but you popped on every site. I mean, Google, I mean, all the sites. So
Here
one,
I
I have
am.
two, yeah. So
You
I have
can't
a
miss me.
yes, yes, yes. So I have a two-part question. How did you become so marketable, and is this a key aspect to becoming a top injector? How big is social media?
It's very, very important. You have to put yourself out there. I mean, it's all about putting yourself out there, networking, getting to know people, getting to know patients, hashtags. I mean, I've learned from others over the years. It's not all just, I'm not that creative. You just have to put yourself out there. It's networking, um, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no,
Everything kind of just fell into place. I don't know, it just comes natural to me. I've always been like a social butterfly, up in New York, down here. It's just natural for me, I guess.
yeah, no. I look at like let's take an example, your Instagram page. You have over 10,000 followers for a provider. That's amazing. How did you start that? Like, what was do you have to post every day, or
It's
tell us a
not
little
easy.
bit?
Yeah, you have to post every day, hashtag, interact with people, patients. I'm very responsive. That's a big thing. I try to post a story every day. Just being very interactive and responsive. You can't just sit back and put your feet up. It's a 24/7 job, but I love my career. I love what I do. I love messaging people. I love answering questions. Um, I don't even feel like it's a job. I just feel like it's my life.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't even feel like I go into work. Like I love what I do.
No,
So
that's great. That's awesome. Awesome. Not many
yeah,
people can say that, so that's amazing.
that's true.
Now, it's something you mentioned earlier that I wanted to go back to. So you said like you don't only network on social media, but you go to like events, seminars, and things of that nature. How big is that piece too?
That's really important because you want to meet other people. Other people can introduce you to other people. Other providers or just anyone can give you any insight or marketing ideas into the industry. Um, I always just feel like wherever I go, I meet somebody, whether it's going to be a patient or somebody that can, educate me on things or introduce me to somebody else. Even walking, on the street, I'll meet somebody that could maybe introduce me to somebody else, or I don't know, you just never know. So it's always good to go to trainings, events. It's all about marketing. You know,
Yeah.
you can't just go into the office and expect to, make it work. Like you have to. It's like a full-time job to be successful. But I don't look at it like that. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy it. That's like my life. It's part of my life.
Yeah.
So
So do you feel, because that's a good part that you just said, do you feel like the role of a like injector is now becoming like a brand, like each person has their own brand?
yeah, I would say so. Not everyone is like that. Some
Yeah.
people just want to go into work, inject, and then go home to their family.
Yeah.
But there's, yeah, I guess a lot of us injectors, it's like a brand now. So it's a lot of work. It is not easy.
Yeah. Yes, that's they always say anything worth having isn't easy. So that's amazing. No, I get it. I
That is
get it.
true.
Awesome. So Caroline, I know there's like a lot of people that are gonna be watching this that are like either new injectors or wanting to get in started in the market, or even people that are experienced in the market and want to learn more. What advice would you give to maybe a new grad that just graduated their MSN, or maybe a provider that has little to no experience?
I would say take whatever classes you can, learn everything you can, try to shadow another provider, see if they'll teach you their techniques, which I know is very hard to get into places because I, of course, had trouble with that. It wasn't easy. And just, if you can market yourself to somebody or shadow somebody and say, hey, I took this class, I took that class, I know how to do this and that. Can you show me your techniques? Can you take me under your wing? There was, one or two providers that took me under their wing. um, God bless them. Thank God for that. And then they kind of threw me to the sharks. I did the basics, anatomy training, basic Botox and fillers classes. You always want to go out there and learn what's like the newest and greatest, because patients always want that. And you always want to give them, you know, options, because everyone always wants the newest and greatest. And just, you know, go to meetings, go to conferences, network with other providers, see what they have to say. Maybe they can kind of link you up with, other providers, other classes, other events, conferences. Again, it's all about, networking and marketing.
The
And
key,
I
the
never even
key.
took a marketing class in college or high school.
Wow, wow. It's just a
Yeah.
skill.
So this is all kind of like, I never learned this in nursing school. They don't
Yeah.
teach you this. You write like stupid papers or take math classes or, you know.
Yeah.
So now if I look back, I would say I would take like a business class maybe and like a marketing class to kind of help guide me. So if I can kind of redo things.
Nice, nice. And that's actually really good advice for somebody that may be graduating school and they're like, hey, let me take another class before I graduate. Because that is very true. It's like a business, like a brand.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you get started? Tell us a little bit. How did you get started?
So I used to be a cardiac nurse, and I always wanted to work in plastic surgery. So I ended up working at Long Island Plastic Surgical Group up in Long Island in 2009. And I worked with 17 different surgeons. They all did from cosmetic to reconstructive. So I would set everything up for them. I would watch their techniques. And I absolutely loved going into work, and I loved it. But back then as a registered nurse, you couldn't inject up in New York at least.
Yeah.
So then I ended up going back and going to nurse practitioner school. I wanted to be a cardiac nurse practitioner in the hospital. I didn't even think about really aesthetics. And then I ended up moving down to Florida with my boyfriend. He was a plastic surgeon, and I'm like, oh, you know what? It'd be really cool if we could open an office. He could do all the surgery, and like I can inject, in the office as a nurse practitioner in Florida. So I went to Stony. Well, we ended up breaking up. I graduated Stony Brook. I ended up staying down in Florida, and I kind of got out of aesthetics. I jumped back into cardiology, in the medical world, and everyone was like, "Oh, you should go into aesthetics. Like, you're really pretty. Like you have like a taste for, beauty and aesthetics. Why don't you jump back into it?" And I'm like, you know what, I should. And it was really hard. Like nobody really wants to take you under their wing. So I was just like, all right, let me kind of start with like the basic classes, like the anatomy, Botox, fillers, because that you can do. And then I found a nurse practitioner. Her name is Sarah. She's amazing. Love her. She's actually in DNP school right now, getting her postmasters. So proud of her. She took me under her wing and kind of showed me some techniques and, looked out for places hiring and training. And that's kind of how I got back into it. About like, I would say like 4 or 5 years ago now. And you can it's like an art, you either can do it or you can't. And
Yeah.
once I started injecting hands-on, I felt comfortable. I loved doing what I was doing. Patients, loved my work. And that's kind of how, things unraveled and came about.
Wow, wow. And that's inspiring because it's like when you become an injector, no one wants to take you under their wing, like you're saying. But if you push hard enough and persevere, anything is possible when you break into the industry. And look at you now, like you have tons of
Yeah,
years of experience under your belt, all the latest technology, and you're really more marketable. So, I definitely commend you for that. That's amazing. That is
thanks.
amazing. So one of the questions I always like to ask is, what is the biggest lesson you learned being a provider? It could be professionally, it could be personally, it could be whatever you want to go with.
Lessons. I would say, I mean, I was a newbie. I started somewhere. I don't ever say no to anyone. If anyone asks me any questions or they need any help or, want to shadow me, if I possibly can, I'd love to, take them under my wing. Everyone has to start somewhere. Um, trying to think of what else.
Yeah, because people do have to start somewhere, so that's a good point.
And what else have I learned? I mean, there's always going to be, those crazy patients. You just have to, with time and experience, you'll learn how to handle them. Sometimes you have to say no, you know,
Yeah.
um, and that just comes with, time and like expertise and stuff. And there's always something new to learn. I'm never going to say I'm an expert in everything. There's
Yeah.
always something new out there. I always love learning new techniques, new skills, touching up on things. So I'm never going to say, I don't care how long I'm doing this. When it's, 20, 30 years, I'm going to be like, you know what? I want to learn new techniques from somebody else or a new procedure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Amazing. I always say, if you do not learn, you do not re-educate yourself, you die. So it's like either you grow or you
Exactly.
die.
Yeah.
So no, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Name 3 MDs that you follow on Instagram. Always interested. The aesthetic MDs that you're like your go-to.
Um, oh my gosh. Dr. 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞, love him.
Oh, favorite.
Yes. I mean, he's trained me so many times
Yeah.
and it just never gets old. He's great. He's like my mentor.
Amazing.
Who else? I love Dr. ARNP. She's great.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she's always willing to teach, different techniques, same thing. Um, I go to, whenever they have any sort of conferences or any trainings, whether it's, every month, every year, I'm always there. And they remember me, you also see the same people that are always willing to learn, you know. And then a third one, trying to think. Oh, Dr. Jason Posner,
Oh, wow. Okay.
plastic
Okay.
surgeon that I work with at Sanctuary. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
He took me under his wing. I didn't know much about lasers, and now I do. He's always coming up with the newest and greatest, laser treatments and settings and stuff like that. So he's like another mentor. He's awesome. And I'm very, very, very
Amazing.
proud, to work with him and for him at Sanctuary in Boca. So
Amazing, amazing. So that's a key. Follow all those doctors she just said. That's her insight right there to learn
yep.
more, learn more. All right, awesome, awesome. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for sitting down with me to speak more about the aesthetic industry and
Of
kind of
course.
your viewpoint on marketing. I know it's huge in this industry. I wanted you to explain a little bit more about kind of like, why it's so important for new injectors, even solid injectors that's been doing this for a long time to, be more marketable. So tell us a little bit more about kind of what you have planned for the future and where everyone can find you.
Well, I'll always be in Boca at Sanctuary.
Nice.
That's my family. I'll be there forever and ever. And we have everything from A to Z there, which is great. That office has been around for years. And Dr. Posner has been in practice for, I would say, over 20 years. And I'm also in Hollywood at Dr. Thrower's. He's the dermatologist for the Miami Heat. I'm here on Mondays and Thursday mornings. And I also fly to New York once a month. And I work at 𝐥𝐢𝐤 Beauty Bar with another plastic surgeon. And I do, all the same aesthetic stuff. And then I'm also in Miami on some Saturdays at VR Med Spa. So I'm pretty much everywhere, but mostly Boca is like my main office. So, and it's close to home because I live 10 minutes away.
Nice, nice. And then
Hence my Instagram name.
yes, your Instagram. That's what I was gonna say. And what's
Yep.
your Instagram name so everyone can definitely
It
follow?
is Boca Raton, like the city, aesthetic ARNP.
Awesome, awesome.
All one word, Boca Raton. And then I pop up in cute blue scrubs.
Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you everybody for watching. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.